Okay, so at 5 o'clock, I bring the February 8th Water and Sewer District meeting to order. Let's start off with approving the minutes from January 28th.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from January 28th.
It's seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, payroll and manifest.
I make a motion we approve the payroll and manifests.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, new business. So we're going to go on to,
Well, we can open the public hearing.
yeah, so I open the public hearing for our proposed budget pursuant of RSA 32:5 at like 5:02. And this will be discussion of the financing of projects, each in excess of $100,000. So we're proposing 4 potential projects, and I want to make the emphasis on the word potential because although we are considering these projects, we will not necessarily be going forward them until we make some final decisions later in the year. So project number 1, Highland Street water and sewer replacement, $4 million, borrowing $2.6 million. Russell Street water and sewer replacement, $812,000, of which we'll be borrowing $600,000. Reservoir Road water and sewer replacement, $1.7 million, of that borrowing $1.3. And then Emerson Street water and sewer replacement, $870,000, borrowing $710,000.
So with that, Jason, if you would like to just kind of walk us all through what's driving this in a nutshell is ARPA funding that was
Yes.
received by the state being channeled through DES, and this is the first round of ARPA funding, and it has to be committed by the end of this summer. So DES in November, early December, asked all of the districts to submit, or all of the water and sewer operations to submit project proposals, and they evaluated them, and we were offered ARPA funding and loan funding for pieces of these various projects. We packaged them as water and sewer, the theory being that it makes no sense to do one without doing the other. And so, Jason, if you want to bring us up to speed on each of those projects and the priority.
Sure. So, Highland Street, we'll start off with Highland Street. So Highland Street consists of about 5,200 linear feet from the intersection of Main Street all the way up to the intersection of Reservoir Road. So this is a both complete water and sewer replacement in that whole alignment. And like Don had mentioned, we have $4 million project total with about $2.6 million in borrowing and about $1.7 million in grant and principal forgiveness. So I don't know if you want me to go through all of the funding breakout further than that, but we can.
Hi, can you hear us, Marianne?
Yes, I can now.
Okay.
So that project received ARPA funding on both water and wastewater side of about $1.4 million.
I'm sorry, could you guys put me closer to the speaker or something? I'm having trouble hearing.
You want to bunch them up here?
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
So we were just talking about Highland Street. Highland Street
Gotcha.
water
Thank you.
water and sewer is approximately 5,200 linear feet from the intersection of Main Street all the way up to Reservoir Road. and the project total is $4 million. And we're receiving an estimated ARPA grant amount of $1,400,000, which leaves $2.6 million in borrowing.
Just point out that this is a priority because there is a 1900 linear foot project, which is the town will be undertaking in conjunction with DOT as part of the 10-year plan. And so what we were trying to do is coordinate this so that we replace water and sewer in that portion of the roadway at the same time.
Right.
And then the section of water main closer to Main Street, we are all aware that has had several breaks over the year.
Yes.
And it's 1920s vintage, so it's definitely in need of replacement, end of its useful life.
Now, this is the one that we may be able to get some additional funding for another 147.
No, not this one,
No,
it'll be
okay.
Reservoir.
All
yeah.
right, okay.
So the next project is Russell Street. That is a water replacement and spot sewer repair, totaling $812,000, and we would be borrowing about $600,000. This is also a street where the town has a priority for stormwater, and we'd like to join them during their stormwater improvements on Russell. So that road does have a water loan and grant component to that. Does not have a sewer grant component, but the sewer is a smaller piece of that project. Our third project is Reservoir Road, water and sewer replacement, approximately 3,000 linear feet of water from the intersection of Highland Street to the upper tank on Reservoir Road, and the sewer would be replaced from the intersection of Reservoir Road to just beyond Binks Hill Road, and then a small portion on Binks Hill Road. That project is $1.7 million with borrowing of about $1.3 million. There is a caveat to this project. We are making a request to shift an ARPA offer from one project to this project. So there may be an additional $172,500 in ARPA grant that may be able to be shifted to this project, which would lower the borrowing amount. Emerson Street is project number 4. This is a water and sewer replacement project of $870,000, borrowing $710,000. This is also a street that is high on the town's priority list for stormwater replacement, so we'd like to get in with them on that road as well. We have had several breaks along Emerson Street, including service line breaks, and we have documentation of lead on Emerson Street, so we'd like to get that out. So this is also a project that we're looking to shift sewer ARPA monies to from another project of less priority, and we may receive an additional $142,500 in grant if that shift is approved.
Is there any money available for lead remediation?
There will be in the future, but there's no definite allocations
Yes.
yet
Okay.
that would
Darn it.
indicate that would go to larger
Right,
projects.
darn it.
Most
Okay.
of the lead money, my understanding, will be focused on
Homeowners.
service
Right,
replacements.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just on Emerson, to point out, we've had conversations with the highway superintendent, and it's a high priority. He doesn't have funding yet. We've
Okay.
agreed that as things unfold with the next round, we'll work together to see if we can help find them funding for some or all of the project. Not aware at this point of any dollars for highway construction or roadway reconstruction, but we understand from DES and actually from a conference call we had with Senator Shaheen's office that there may be funding coming on for stormwater.
Okay.
And so at this point, we're hoping that we'll be able to align a package there. And then the other piece, from my perspective, as we analyze this, is what additional funding will be unfolding with the rebuild or build back better dollars that are committed
Right.
but not flowing yet.
Yep,
Yeah, there was also a request just last week from DES for communities to provide the status of their projects. And as projects potentially are dropped off the list, there may be a reshift or reallocation in the
more
ARPA
money. Okay.
as well.
So, it's just kind of pointing out that we've discussed this as it's bumped along, but just so that the public is aware, is that we can't say no, thank you if we don't apply, and we can't apply unless we have authority to accept.
Right.
So,
And we're not necessarily we're undertaking all of these projects.
or any of them.
Right.
It will depend in large part in terms of what, these are commitments, but they're not firm commitments. We have to apply once we have authorization, assuming we get these levels of commitment. We can analyze. What we're hoping is that we can package these with other dollars. We've talked to rural development about possible participation. And so, to some extent, the uncertainty of the rest of the money makes this a difficult proposition, but we all know that there's a limit to how much can be borrowed, so, at some point, we've got to get our oar in the water and then analyze.
Right.
Yeah, and these were picked out of a list of several additional projects as our top priorities based on some of the factors we talked about. Working in conjunction with the town and the higher needs along those roads, continuing the main artery from Main Street to our water storage tanks.
Yeah, we're just asking for permission to do it,
Right.
providing the finances
Exactly.
fall in line
And the articles are written in a way that we're providing assurance to the district that it's not less than the grant amount indicated, and it's not more than the borrowing that would be required for the minimum amount of grant. What we're hoping is we'll be able to increase the grant and reduce the borrowing, or replace borrowing with other grant sources.
Well, we know the work needs to be done. There's no
It does.
question about that. Especially when you get down to look at Emerson Street. That's a disaster. It's been a disaster for years. So hopefully we'll get permission from the public.
Just talking about budget.
Right.
Do we have anything else on the financing stuff? Not really, right? Because it's just these four
No,
main
yeah, right,
projects.
we can't go ahead, we can
Yep,
now shift
let's
to the
go
operating
budget.
budget.
So we have for our proposed budget for 2022 on the water side is a total of 2.864 million.
No,
Oh, sorry, that's total, excuse me,
1 point.
I should have brought my
1.2.
glasses tonight. 1.246 million.
Which is up 33K from last year.
Yes. And on the sewer side, actually, on the sewer side, 1.618 million,
Up 170,000,
correct.
if I can add, approximately. 160 actually. Right? Yeah.
So it's a combined total of the 2.5% increase.
Right, so
As
2.5%.
As proposed, but we do have, we've got a couple of items we'd like to discuss tonight about possibly increasing.
Okay.
Less than inflation, I might add.
Yeah, much less than inflation. Yay.
So if you have no questions about, you've already seen this part.
Yes.
So
Right.
So to kind of talk you through, there's two areas of increase. I'm suggesting that we consider increasing the IT support by 15,000 per side, so 30,000 total, based upon preliminary information we received from the consultant who's doing the cybersecurity analysis.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if that was
Yeah,
what
we haven't had an
this
update
was.
on that recently, yes.
And so it's going to require some analysis. There was a kind of I guess what I would characterize as a preliminary report indicating that there's about $20,000 worth of one-time hard costs. And it appears from the preliminary report that there are some fair holes in our security.
And this is above and beyond the retainer for the consultant.
Yeah, this is
This is
fix
actually
it side.
paying to
He's
fix
in the
it side.
process of doing the assessment,
Right.
and then there'll be the consequences of fixing those things in terms of priorities.
Have we received a proposal on that yet?
No, this wouldn't necessarily be to him. It's just, he was talking about one-time cost. As you're aware, I'm not the guy to be talking about technology.
Yeah, so we should have him
But
Zoom
yes,
again?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say
Our
that's,
expectation is that I want to have enough money to do it. We may not do all of the things. We may not be able to get all of the things done the first time. There's SCADA issues
yes.
that have to be
Okay.
addressed. There's security issues with the business operation pieces,
Ooh, that's not good.
and there's security issues with the wastewater management system, for lack of a better description.
Yes.
And so, I'm happy to have you address some of the details.
Sure.
He hasn't finished the study, so it's kind of, we're at a preliminary report
I see, okay.
point. But
Well,
we,
should
but
probably
if we,
wait
if
till
we
it's
don't
done,
include
right?
it in the budget and we wind up needing it, my sense is we're probably better off, even if we don't need it all this year, we just carry it over till next year to finish it up. And it's, there's no risk of pushing the budget beyond the ability of the rate to cover.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
Well,
there's-
it seems like a reasonable,
That makes sense,
a
right.
reasonable amount.
All right,
Alrighty,
so that would be $15,000 a pop. And then I'm proposing that we add, let me get the number. $66,000, $33,000 per water, 33 sewer, under the personnel line item. We're exploring three possibilities. We have several opportunities for people. We have a PSU student who's interested in an internship that may turn into an apprenticeship
for what?
for water waste, entry-level water wastewater operations technician. He's an environmental studies student, going to be graduating in May.
Mhm.
And so we're envisioning 9 hours a week, beginning April 1st until he graduates. So he'd come in 3 mornings a week for 3 hours to work in the lab and then learn the different pieces of what it's like to run primarily a wastewater plant. That's where the yucky stuff is. And then if he fits us and we fit him and he's interested in an apprenticeship, kind of using that as a model, Jason's been working with the Wastewater Association. I can't remember all of the
Acronyms.
Yeah, all of the acronyms in it.
All the letters that go.
But they're exploring the possibility of using apprenticeships to fill the void. I mean, everybody's struggling with.
Mhm.
Oh, God, yes.
In fact, that's the next piece. As you know, we've been advertising for a full-time permanent position. We have a young individual who has no experience, but who is related to someone who works in the wastewater industry in Mass. He studied, took the wastewater operator's exam, so My understanding is he can come in as an operator and could come in as an operator in training. We've met with him, we've talked about him coming on board, and we're in competition with other places. We had a conference call with him yesterday morning, and it's hard to tell. He was very straightforward. He said, I'm evaluating opportunities. Right. He's relatively speaking young. He's footloose and fancy free. Doesn't know family obligations. Lives in town, which makes us attractive. But he's got offers. He's going for a second interview in Nashua. He's rejected a $25 an hour position, which we said we're not in a position to compete with at entry level. So, but in any event, that's funded in here. And then the third piece is kind of an opportunistic piece. We've had an applicant apply who retired from the Navy and then retired from a facilities manager role at Brown University. Lives in Warren. Warren?
Yep.
Warren is the operator of the Warren 47 customer water operation. Master's degree in project management, and is interested in finding something so that he doesn't waste away. He said when he retired from the Navy, they told him, if you don't stay busy, you die. So he applied for our job. We interviewed him. We took him on a tour of the plant. Not sure that we believe it's a permanent full-time role. So what I've done is got back to him and said, how about part-time? We would set $30 an hour part-time as a contract employee, average 24 hours a week. Would be specific assignments. We're thinking about GIS, asset management, and the possibility of helping with kind of the project management pieces of the next
upcoming
phases of our
Right, that's what I was
upcoming
thinking, we've
project.
got these upcoming projects, so yeah.
And he's agreed to that. That's fine. The way I characterized it with him is that we would try it for 6 months. We'd use kind of a definitive scope approach. So we tell him these are the projects, or this is the project we want you to work on. He's said that he'll do everything from painting hydrants to managing projects. He really doesn't care. He wants to stay busy.
He just wants to stay busy.
So, the way I presented it was, look, we'll give it a try for 6 months. If you're happy and we're happy, we can explore where it goes. If not, if it doesn't work out, we part friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if all of those things worked, we would need about another $60,000
Right.
in.
Well, we certainly need to
Salary.
continue pursuing any staffing.
Warm bodies.
Staffing.
Yeah, any
Yeah.
staffing options. So I would say that is quite sensible. Yes?
Well, I guess I'm gonna, we just had to lay off 2 people before this COVID hit.
3.
3, okay, I'm sorry, 3. It seems like we're going the other way now. I'm not saying we shouldn't put it in the budget.
Yeah.
But I
Well, I
haven't
think
really
only
heard.
one's full-time.
Pardon me?
I think only one would be full-time.
And that's what I've heard we really need, is 1 full-time person.
Right,
And the others we may need, we may not. I think it's a good idea to put it in the budget, I don't disagree with Don. But I think before we start hiring a lot more people, we need to really sit down and talk about that a lot more.
What do you
I haven't
envision?
heard much from Jason about this. Jason, you're the guy that would be dealing with all this. How many men do you need down there?
Yeah, I think we
What is
put
the-
the search out for a single
the
person,
single
but
person, right.
I think that at this point in time, it's very difficult, like we're finding, to find that one person. We had someone that we were wanting to bring on, we were very close about bringing on, and that person backed off. I don't think at this point in time, we'd be able to find someone of that caliber again, in the very near future. Someone may stumble upon us, we may be surprised, but I think in the short term, we do need to think about alternatives to bring our capacity back up to where we were, even if it took multiple people to fill a single role.
Okay,
So I think that's kind of the approach that we're on now, knowing that it's a temporary approach, and hopefully that person would, we could find a full-time person to bring on.
Yeah, the odds are, it was hard to tell. The three of us were involved in the call, and so each can nod, but, I would say that the full-time permanent position, employee, I think at best it's a 50-50 shot.
Well, it's true that this young
Nashua.
guy that,
We
yeah,
might not
Yeah,
be
this
able
is-
to
this is-
compete
yeah.
with Nashua.
Yeah,
Right,
and-
right.
And again, I mean,
Yeah.
he would come in at the, kind of at the bottom of the rung, but, I mean, what we're finding is there are, and he was very straightforward in talking about the number of, he said every single resume he sent out, he's gotten a response on.
Right.
And he didn't tell us who, but he said that, he had he just turned down a job at $25 an hour.
right.
And so, I mean, we looked at that. I mean, the other piece, right now, we're operating with 2 people out. And when you have 5
Right.
people,
Right, it's short staffed.
we're running real
Right.
skinny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've received calls over the last few weeks from New Hampton Village Precinct, talked to folks in Meredith, talked to folks in Bristol, every community, Ashland as well now, since Rusty passed. Everyone's looking for someone.
Yep.
And it's a matter of time before people start hopping around, and we don't want to have that happen.
Or we have to hire,
Right.
from,
Right.
no, I don't disagree with that, I just,
if we're hiring from a consulting firm, then it's gonna be $50 an hour versus
Right.
don't even
60.
talk about that.
Yeah,
No, I don't disagree
Yeah.
with that, I
And
just
I-
wanna make, it's good
Yeah.
to put it in there.
Yeah.
This is the first I've heard we
Right.
need to have 3. I heard we needed 1, now we're up to 3.
Well, we
Well, I
don't,
think
we
I know
don't
they're
need,
part-time.
yeah, we don't need
I
3.
think the internship is a good opportunity for us to maybe grow from within, we get somebody on board. The thing that scares me, and I shouldn't use the word scare, but the thing that we have seen happen in the past is they come on, they get trained, and then they leave. And so we want to make sure that we're, doing what we can do to keep people once we invest all the money and time in training them.
Right, and we only have so much capacity in-house as well.
Right.
To train or bring
Right.
people on. So we need to
Exactly.
be mindful of that as
Right.
well, yeah.
So, I guess the way I would characterize this is we're trying to be opportunistic. 3 weeks ago, we didn't know about this. I mean, we were negotiating hard with the individual who would have been perfect. It just seemed like the perfect fit. And at the end of the day, his current employer
Stepped up to the
stepped up plate. And so,
And that's what's happening,
Yeah.
people suddenly start saying, I'm looking, and ooh, they don't want you to leave, so.
as I say, we're trying to be opportunistic. We're also exploring other options with possibility of doing some of the construction inspection in-house, which would mean freeing up capacity that we're on the book. So we can do so much with
Right.
what we have now. My biggest concern is and the reason frankly I like the part-time individual is a week like this, where unexpectedly we have 2 people out.
Right, and we don't want to burn the people out that we have.
Yeah.
That's not why we're here.
So, but I agree. I mean, I'm not looking to staff up. I think we're in a mode where we have to be creative and we have to be opportunistic. And so Jason's right. I mean, if the right person comes along tomorrow, we can adapt fairly quickly, particularly with part-time.
And we can't hire them if we don't have the money.
Right.
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 Agreed, no, that's why I asked the question.
Okay.
Is Christian coming, or
No,
are
he's
we
gonna-
zooming?
No, he's zooming.
Yes,
In
Okay,
fact, he
'cause
may
it's
be,
5:30,
he's
so-
waiting.
yeah.
And the Chris Berg's presentation is being postponed until the first meeting in March because the person from DES who has to observe or participate isn't available.
Huh.
So,
Now, the budget hearing has to be held open for only as long as it.
Only as long as we have.
Yes, yes.
Okay, before you close the budget hearing, though,
Yes.
I need a vote to agree
Okay.
to the,
I make a motion that we add $30,000 for IT support and $66,000 for personnel. 15K on each side for the IT support and 33,000 on each side for the personnel.
Second on motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
okay.
Mr. Pearsall,
Well, we need to
Yes,
close the,
yes, yeah, right, yeah.
I
Yeah,
make a
5,
motion, we close
yeah.
the public hearing.
Yeah, at 5:32, we'll close the public hearing on our proposed budget.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes, thank you, Jason. Okay.
I'm gonna turn this way so he can you hear Christian?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep.
Marianne, can you hear okay? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I can hear Christian very well, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Just gonna turn off my phone here. Sorry,
yeah.
or turn down my phone. Or one of the two. I don't know. Throw it out the window. Okay, I'm all ears.
Well, yeah, thank you for taking some time, Christian, and I think the board is interested in a couple of things tonight. You know, I think payroll has been something that's been rumbling here amongst all board members. We've been here getting some feedback on payroll issues. But first, I'd really like to go over contractual, sort of look back at our original contract from 2019 and, just review what's happened here in the past 24 months in 2019 and 2020. I think there's some feeling from the staff that, we had paid for a certain amount of support and also labor, which, at least is my understanding that we did not receive the full measure of in the second half of 2020. So, I think that's what I'd like to see is the first discussion. I'd like to get some feedback from you on that.
Sure. So are you talking about the full term of the contract, or are you talking about exactly? I mean, from when we started until present, or
Well,
specific time?
it's really the second half of 2020. Here you have a proposal to us for this year, for calendar year 2022, at a reduced amount, which is primarily for software and then for labor on an hourly basis. But it's my understanding that for calendar year 2021, we were supposed to be provided with, it was significantly greater amount for our contract, and we were supposed to be provided with a certain amount of labor, which, my understanding, we weren't receiving in the second half of the year. So,
Sure. Okay. So I guess
in essence, what happened was Kim and towards the end of the year, Heidi were doing a lot of the work that
we were paying you for.
right that your old MRI staff was supposed to be handling.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure exactly what you were asking. Certainly, yeah. So, I guess there's a couple of ways of looking at this. Part of our time that we spent focusing on the last half of the year, certainly a significant amount of my time was spent working with Don and others on training and discussions of how to handle account structures and things like that. And I think that's all time that we would not have normally spent had we been in the transition. So I think that while Kim and Heidi did transition to doing accounts payable, and we dropped that from our bi-weekly services, we certainly did additional time and training to prepare, I guess, Heidi and Kim for that. If you want me to look at how long, I wasn't expecting that question, but I'm happy to look and see how long Kim was handling AP and how long Kim and Heidi have been doing AP. And then now, really we transitioned the other stuff really at the end of the year, but I'm happy to look at that and see what kind of time frame we looked at. I mean, from our perspective, going back to the beginning of the contract, we put in a significant amount of time, frankly, cleaning up, issues related to the prior accounting system and basically what we inherited in the system, which we weren't anticipating. Items like, multiple years of the fund accounting system not being closed, journal entries from the auditors not being made, significant issues like that we, really sunk a ton of time into that we weren't expecting. And when I look at the overall term of the contract and the effort that we've spent, and that doesn't include any of my time, because I kind of consider my time a support role, even though, I'm sure others would agree that at times I'm not doing just software support, I'm doing other things too, but I think it was close to, hold on a second, I wrote it down here. 18 divided by 8. About a little under 2.5 days a week over the term of the contract was our effort, through from July 1, 2019 through current. But certainly, I'm happy to look at that tail end of what happened and when Heidi started, and when Kim started doing AP and seeing how long that was, and if we feel like an adjustment's appropriate, I'm happy to look at that. But again, significant amount of time on our end spent kind of cleaning up some really messy stuff. And I have a list. I'm happy to give the board.
I think the board.
I don't want to sort of rehash it all right now, but I'm happy to provide the board with kind of the items that we ran into.
Right. No, that's a fair point. I think the board is also concerned at what some feedback we're getting and a fair amount of time spent, dealing with inconsistencies, for lack of a better word, in the function of the software. Things that aren't go. I hesitate to use the word bug, but it's just issues with the software that's requiring a lot more time on our staff.
Sure.
I'm not trying to tuck that back into the whole equation here of 2021.
Absolutely.
But this is more a forward-looking.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned that we potentially are left here in this year with a great need, and not because of training necessarily, but because things are not running smoothly with the product.
Sure. I guess. My understanding of the transition was, you wanted to bring staff in-house for a variety of reasons, it was not our role to train a fully functioning finance director, municipal finance director in 2 months. We were to train you on how to use the software and to train you on the functions, of using the software and as things come up. It was the commissioner's decision to hire, or somebody's decision to hire, someone with no municipal finance experience. And so I'm not sure, it was never our understanding or expectation, it was never expressed to us that it was our role to turn whoever we hired into a municipal finance director in 2 or 3 or 4 months.
Christian, I don't think we ever asked you to do that.
Okay.
I think what we asked you to do is make sure the software is working, and that when the software is working and our employees when the software is not working and our employees have questions about the software not working, that you are prompt in answering them and fixing the problem. From what I am understanding, that is not occurring in a timely manner, and that our staff will open up the software in the morning and it doesn't work, and they don't have an answer on how to fix it or move forward until 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon or the next day. And I get that some issues with software take a little bit longer to figure out.
Sure.
But email slogs as far as communication goes. A
Sure.
quick Zoom session to see what is happening on our end is worth 1,000 emails.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess that's not the question that was just asked to me, though, I don't think.
I believe it was.
Okay, well, I guess I misinterpreted it then. I mean, I'm happy to talk about the bugs. I mean, I was going to say, I'm not sure who, you guys are so small, I'm not sure who spoke, but yeah, I'll say that there are more bugs than I would certainly have liked to have seen and that we've seen, and sort of kind of behavior that has tripped things up. I think in a discussion today, I mean, I think some of those are a user not understanding the system, and then some of them are legitimate issues where, something happened. I mean,
So
I
Kristen,
think there's two separate issues there.
okay, so I'm gonna come back to what I was saying before. You were hired to provide training and software support. So if our user is having an issue and, in quotes, causing the bug, which I don't believe is occurring, but maybe there was an error in something, then to me, that says that training is not happening appropriately for our users to understand. Now, I am coming at this from both a software tech support person and
Sure.
somebody who does training and education all the time. And
Sure.
and hang on, and I will have customers call me multiple times to make sure that they understand. And part of my job is to give them my full attention and support at that time. That, I believe, is what we are expecting of MRI, and I don't think we're getting it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I have a good response to that. I mean, I think there are certain issues we can address immediately. I mean, I think I'm extremely responsive in communicating when I hear of a bug or an issue. I'm extremely responsive in communicating that I understand that there's something going on. I believe that the amount of times where we've really stopped your workflow has been very few. I believe there have been times where, I mean, that's my understanding, and I'm cognizant of, when something stops your workflow. I mean, I fully understand that. I think that there are times when things have happened where there's been incorrect entries or things have not been done in the way that, for example, entering things into the system that we think is going to go in 1 year, but really they've been into another year. And so I think that's a training issue. I don't disagree with you there. But some of those things we can't fix immediately. And so I can appreciate that some of those things definitely would stop the process or hold things up. I fully agree with that. But I mean, I agree that it's definitely potentially a training issue. And I'm happy, and I've offered many times to kind of review this stuff again, because I think part of that's the issue for sure. I mean, I think that there are certain things. An issue cropped up today where there was inconsistency in saving notes, right, in a purchase order, which you guys see the little notes in the purchase orders. We fixed it initially, but then there was another basically series of keystrokes that was happening that none of us, even though we tested the solution and the fix, somehow this other thing came up where basically the flow of how one of the users was using the software basically was not saving notes again. And that's not anything that we tested. We tried to test that and correct it, but it's not anything that we identified until it cropped up again a couple of days ago or at the end of last week. So things like that do happen, and I've seen it happen before in other installs. I think it's been a little more difficult with you guys for whatever reason, but I've certainly tried to address the issues as quickly as possible, and sometimes we can't fix them immediately as much as we want to. There's just practical reasons why we can't fix them immediately.
I guess I have a concern that it's potential we're muddying the waters here a little bit between, what is a bug and what is a workflow issue,
Sure.
and what is and where training fits into that. As I'm looking at the new proposal that you all have, that only includes training up for through March or April, is it? So where does that leave us if we really do?
Well, when I say that, I mean, typically I think the training that we're referring to is the finance training. MS forms. What does DRA need for reporting? That kind of stuff. I mean, as far as software training, if you guys came to me in July and said, look, we need a refresher on training because we're not sure we're using the system correctly, and frankly, typically my methodology is I'll go back to towns after a few months and say, hey, let's make sure you're using the system as anticipated. Let's do another training session, make sure you're getting what you need out of it.
Have you done
I have
that
no
with
issue
us?
with that.
No,
That's not that.
you haven't done that?
Have you
Laura?
done that with us?
I've trained staff multiple times on processes. Yes, I have.
So you've
We've
come
gone over
here,
jail reporting multiple times. We've gone over PO terminology multiple times. Yeah, but I'm happy to do it more if we need to.
so you said you visit towns and you come and you sit down and you run through training.
Yeah.
Have you come here and sat down and run through training on the things that Kim and Heidi are having issues with?
Yes, to the extent that I'm aware of what they're having issues with, and we've addressed some requests for, can you include certain information on a purchase order, et cetera. Now, if I'm not doing that to their satisfaction, I'm not aware of it. And I'm happy, I'm always open to come and do more work with them. I'm more than happy to. I was there a couple of weeks ago to go over the 1099 stuff, which is kind of a once a year thing. And I specifically told them, I don't expect you to remember this in 12 months. And, we'll go over it again in 12 months because that's a once-off process. Something you do every week, there is an expectation that, you'll get it after, a couple of times, but I'm happy to go over that. We had an issue where items were posted in the wrong period. They ended up getting posted to 2022. And so I'm not sure, I know what happened. I'm not sure why it happened. And either we didn't cover that clearly enough in training or what, I'm not sure, but that was something that kind of cropped up that we had to back out those entries and fix it.
Do you have little FAQs or help pages where you can go and go, oh, this happened, this is what I need to do?
We have documentation for standard processes like accounts payable and year-end processes, yeah. I can tell you that each municipality or organization we work with, their workflow is quite different. So I don't have FAQs that say,
So there's nothing generic enough about your software that entering AP manifests, let's say, it doesn't happen the same way. And
oh, it absolutely does. I said I have a 22-page AP processing manual, which has been provided to Kim and Heidi. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I said that. I said we have, for the standard processes, yes, we have documentation and process documents, reporting documents, standard reporting documents, purchase order entry instructions. Yeah, I guess, I don't have a document that says if Jason put in a PO and it was in admin instead of water sewer department, and then Jason needs to approve it, but the structure for the admin department is different than the water sewer department, so how do I get Dawn in the approval process? I don't have a document that says that, no, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
That's very specific to
very
a setup.
specific to us. Okay.
Yeah. But
Got
yeah,
it.
I'm happy to provide all the documentation to the board that we have and we provided to communities, including you guys. To be honest, I've provided documentation over and over and over for certain workflow processes like purchase order. What do the different statuses mean? What do the different, states mean? And so, and I definitely get those questions, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not trying to minimize the fact that it's been a little buggy. I'm not pretending that at all. It's been more buggy than any of us want. It's frustrating for me, as well, because it's something I have to deal with. But there's no intention to sort of not train people appropriately for the use of the software. It benefits nobody. You know, either you mistakes are made and it's a problem. You know, it ultimately gets a problem for us, or people aren't happy with us, which is not good either. So there's really no benefit in not providing training.
So let's go on to specifically to payroll, which
Sure.
I guess there have been some bumps in the road, to so to speak, here in miscommunication or whatever it was in the past months. And I know the board is all very concerned that our employees are paid properly and paid on time. And
Sure.
so we've just been made aware, like days ago, that in fact the payroll module is something that we have access to, but we have not had access to that until
training.
recently.
No training.
Yeah,
So-
I don't really understand that. Kim mentioned that to me, and I really don't understand that. The staff have had access to the employee portal where they can access their pay stubs, pay information, W-2. I believe the W-2s are on there, maybe not, and other information. You know, it's a contracted service, so I mean, we're the ones that are running the payroll system. So I mean, you know, it wouldn't be appropriate for Jason to have access to the payroll system. Kim's role just changed recently, and so in this transition, we talked about, you know, transferring payroll over, but previously, you know, it was never our understanding that, you know, we would have you guys have the reins to payroll. I mean, payroll is a very different module, and the information in payroll is very different than fund accounting. Where it may be appropriate for somebody to pull an expenditure report that has aggregate payroll data in it. It's not appropriate for an employee to log in and see HIPAA information,
Of course,
personal
yeah.
information about employees. So I'm really
Right.
not sure. I mean, we've been paying district employees and commissioners since January 1st, 2020 in the payroll system. So I
Right.
really
Well,
don't
I mean,
understand how.
I think I know the board is all, you know, very concerned that payroll runs smoothly, and I guess we're looking for some a nod of confidence here that we can rely on it, and that, you know, that Kim can be up and running, and this is going to be a smooth transition. We cannot afford to improperly pay our employees. I just won't have to have that happen.
Yeah, I mean, payroll is you can mistakenly pay a vendor, and they may get upset at you, or you may pay half the bill, but it's not a big deal, right? But with payroll, there's very strict requirements and rules on paying employees, obviously, and I think we all know that. Yeah, so it's critical. I mean, I think for payroll, you know, we're more than happy to transition payroll to your staff whenever the staff feel they're ready to do it, okay? The payroll system is set up in a way that it's fairly easy to process payroll in its current configuration. There's certain things that you need to know so that you pay people in the correct way, so that you're reporting wages to the retirement system correctly, that you're reporting wages to certain things correctly, and things are certainly hitting the correct way. You know, and we can certainly train Kim and Heidi or whoever is going to be doing it on how to do that. I think the tricky part with payroll is as things change, as you know, rules change with the retirement system and things like that, and you just need to be up on those things. And so we certainly can provide guidance as part of our support on you know, how to best structure, you know, an earnings code so that it hits the right thing, right? So we need to, you know, let's say you guys are running payroll, you come to us and say, you know, we want to pay these people in a certain way, you know, should this be an earnings code that's set up this way or this way? How do we make sure that it's going to be subject to retirement system or not subject to retirement system? And so those are the things we would help out as part of the support fee that we do with all of our other towns that use our payroll software. But you know, we're not an outsourced payroll service, so we're not making the decisions on, you know, certain things that we might currently make as far as what's the most appropriate way to handle something. We can certainly make a recommendation, but it's not our job to make that decision unless, you know, you engage us in that manner.
Mm-hmm. other observations about payroll?
Well, some of our employees have been mispaid a couple of times. We got mispaid this month.
I know, yeah, you got paid early, I know that.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, that is a concern. I voiced exactly what Chris said. If I didn't get my money, I wouldn't be there the next day.
Sure, yeah. No, I think, you know, that was a mistake that we paid you early. You know, people do make mistakes. We corrected a fairly serious error that happened a few months ago where basically people weren't going to get paid on the pay date, and we kind of jumped through hoops to help you guys. It was after we processed the payroll, but we jumped through hoops to make sure that everybody was paid in a timely fashion, which cost us, you know, several hours of work to kind of make sure that got done. You know,
Yes,
Don
but-
came over and grabbed checks and.
But you should
Yeah.
have been jumping through hoops because you guys made the mistake in the first place.
No, I'm talking about a different time.
There was a time I'd never received the calls.
Yeah, there was a time where I think that the, you know, treasured and transmit direct deposit
Because I never
accounts.
got the calls from the bank.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so, I mean, you know,
Another
mistakes
concern
like
I
that,
have
and
is,
all we can do is, you know, just, like I said, we did everything we could to ensure that people got paid in a timely fashion when that happened.
another concern I have is communication. It seems like communication at times between your employees and our employees gets a little bit tense for some reason. I don't understand that. I mean, basically, you work for us, we don't work for you. If that's the best way I know how to put it. You can take it any way you want, I really don't care. But
Sure.
you are employed by us to do a job. And
Correct.
what we're asking you to do, I don't believe is unreasonable. If our employees are asking questions, they really need to have answers. And I think they deserve answers.
I completely agree with you.
Okay?
Yeah,
No,
I think communication times has been kind of strained. I think there's maybe some personality challenges, and I mean, I think part of it, you know, I think part of that has led to us, you know, agreeing to kind of change the structure that we have. You know, Don is intercepted in certain areas. I've been included pretty much in all communications now as well to help smooth that out. So we're addressing that as the best we can. I mean, I think there's certain things that, I guess that's all I can say. I mean, you know, like I said, I've played a more active role when I've learned of the communication issues, and I think that they've been better. But I think, you know, there's always going to be some personality challenges between people. This happens in other towns as well, and we swap people around and try to shift the paths. I think some of the areas that were areas of rub were we had an opinion based on how things should be handled based on our understanding of best practices and experience, and there was a disagreement about that. And so I think that's part of the nature of some of the kind of challenges in communication.
Well, our business manager is the point person that you need to really be in contact with.
Correct. Yeah.
We decided as a board, it was probably, what, a month ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kim is the person that you need to deal with.
Yep.
And that she needs to be satisfied that her needs are being met, which
Yeah.
means our needs are gonna be met.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I fully agree with you. I mean, and Kim and I, you know, like I said, I mean, Kim, I'm sure, can't see if Kim's there, but, yeah, I mean, pretty much
She's there.
every.
She's over in the corner.
Hi, Kim.
She's over
Yeah,
the phone.
I think, you know, that's the message that I got as well, and I think it was, you know, under the guise that we, make sure that everything, you know, I'm aware of everything that's out there and outstanding and everything gets addressed. You know, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be satisfied with every answer, every response we have, but, you know, I certainly feel like we've addressed that issue, you know, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I'd like to see things be a little bit more timely as far as responses. You know, if we have a question at 8 o'clock in the morning, waiting till 3 in the afternoon to get an answer doesn't always cut it, because that stops our workflow for the day.
Sure, I
So-
guess, I mean, it depends on, is that Kim talking?
No, it's Judy talking.
Okay, sorry, you guys sound similar, sorry.
It's the masks.
Yeah, okay. That was Kim, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, I mean, I guess I pride myself in being super responsive. And I don't know, there are certain things that we may park till later in the day if we know it's not going to be something that, if it's something that somebody can wait for. And typically what we'll do is we'll ask, is can you wait, if this is not critical, did you get this in the next 10 minutes, can you hold off on it? Part of our services agreement all along was not, we're not there 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. On the software support side, we sort of are. But to the extent that we've significantly held you out, where we're just ignoring emails or anything like that, I really don't think there are many instances in that I'm aware of.
I'm not saying that you're ignoring them per se, but perhaps that question of, can this wait, is not necessarily being asked.
Well, okay, we usually ask that. So if there are specific circumstances where we didn't ask and we just parked something for the entire day, I'm not aware of that, but if we did, my apologies. That's not normally how we do it.
Okay, so I'd like to see that question asked every time. Can this wait?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can't guarantee that we're going to respond at 8:05 from an email at 8 o'clock. I don't.
Yeah, I get that, but an hour?
I don't know of any provider that will do that. Frankly, most IT vendors, if you ask around, I mean, your former system, Brenda literally received no support from the vendor whatsoever, despite multiple calls, for the 6 months that she used the system when she was trying to sort of untether what was going on there. I mean, she literally received zero support from the company, even though she called them multiple times, emailed them multiple times.
Well, I mean, I think the board has some pretty strong feelings about payroll, and I think this is going to be something we're going to discuss a bit more. We do appreciate. Do you think we've exhausted the? I think we've covered things well today, and we appreciate your time. I know
Sure.
payroll is a real. This is an issue that's. It's it's very much on the forefront of our minds, and something
Right.
we need to be monitoring very closely. I mean,
If I may, again, I'm not looking for an adversarial relationship, and whatever, I'll do my best, and I'm not one to sort of, I'll do my best to make sure everybody's happy and get what they need, get what they need. we'll have to draw the line in certain areas, but I think that should be a reasonable line that everyone would agree with. Payroll specifically, I sent an email to Kim, one of the commissioners mentioned another company that provides outsourced payroll, and I encouraged Kim to look into that. Our system very easily integrates, and the fund accounting system very easily integrates with other payroll systems, payroll is something that's a really tough thing to work with. You do need to do it right, and public sector payroll is much more complicated than private sector payroll because of all the statutory requirements, reporting requirements for the retirement system, and it's something that really can be difficult. But again, we'll train you how to use our payroll system, but the working assumption is that there's some understanding of the regulations involved, and whether it's Kim or Heidi, get some training from the retirement system. I know Carrie sent, webinar information to them as far as training opportunities and things like that. I think it's really incumbent upon the district staff to be, to educate themselves on it as well, because we're providing you the software, but we're not providing you the, expertise on how to do municipal payroll. Right now we're providing the expertise on how to do municipal payroll, but when we switch,
yes,
it's a different story.
Understood.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you again for your
Sure.
time today, and we appreciate your efforts. We hope things go smoother here in the future as far as
Absolutely. Look, I'm under no illusion that things have been perfectly smooth. It's been a challenge from the beginning, frankly, with kind of the stuff that we found, but it's never run as quite as smoothly as we'd hoped. And I think that's why we're kind of trying to untether things now and work for a better sort of relationship that's going to serve the district and the constituents of the district better. So,
Okay, well, thanks again.
all right, take care. Thank you.
Bye. So any further discussion on?
Yeah, I would look into paychecks. My discussion on this, or my feeling on this, is Kim and Heidi already have so much on their plate that throwing payroll, and it sounds like from Christian that their payroll is not going to be very user-friendly. I distinctly got that vibe from him.
Well, I mean, I think his point is very well taken, that, you know, and that there is a distinction
Yes,
between
there is.
private
I
sector
agree.
payroll and government sector
Oh,
payroll.
yeah, no question about it.
And, you know, no matter who's doing this, it's going to be a little bit complicated, but, you know, it may make more sense to outsource. You know, I'm
Yeah,
very willing to hear.
We should just look into how much, you know, and if MRI is not doing our payroll, how much is their fee going to be reduced? And can we support outsourcing to Paychex or some other company that does that?
Yeah, I would look at maybe, you know, I mean, Paychex would be is a huge company. That's perhaps one other alternative, but it'd be nice to get some specifics there about what they can manage specifically with government in the state of New Hampshire. And we will continue to bring this to the board for
you know,
discussion.
I feel like Heidi and Kim have enough on their plate with everything that MRI is putting on to us, that adding payroll in addition, I just feel like it's a recipe for disaster.
Right, I mean,
Because you guys are already feeling, you know, so if we can, the other option is keep payroll with MRI, right?
Yep.
But it doesn't sound like they want to keep it. Is that what I'm hearing? Are they trying to move it over to us, or are we asking for it?
I personally didn't ask for any of this.
Okay,
well, it has been completely hands-off, correct? That Kim, you have, I mean, with the exception of reporting hours, you have not been in any way managing payroll on MRI's product. But it sounds
No.
like you were just recently, like within last week.
I saw their product.
Right, you've finally been given access.
Not access, but
just
But-
sort of,
Oh.
this is what it looks like.
Right.
yeah, a Zoom meeting with Christian
I
walking
see,
through,
okay,
but
all
not
right.
access.
Okay,
No.
all right.
And honestly, if I could speak to that, it's been difficult because there are questions with employees when things happen or their leave time is incorrect
And you can't go in and look at it.
I can't go in and look at it, and Carrie, personally, she will not deal with me. She says she will only deal direct to the employee. I have never heard of a payroll company avoiding the office and
Right.
going direct to the employee.
Right,
Yeah.
so, I mean, somebody in our in-house here, right, I mean, you.
So that's been an issue.
Right.
Even
Right.
Jason had an issue, and for several days, we kept prodding Carrie, Jason has a question, Jason has a question, and finally, probably day 3 or 4, she finally addressed his question, but
Well,
there is some personality stuff going on, it is difficult. I find it very difficult, I mean.
Then
Carrie-
we need somebody
Well,
else
let's-
over there,
let's
right, Ben?
articulate and I'm glad to draft the question to Christian and just explain to him that in our view, we need somebody in-house who can be,
The point person to review
view-only access of
access of payroll.
payroll in order to be able to answer questions that,
Right.
you know, directly. It can't be all coming through them.
Right, it can be read-only, you know,
Right,
they,
so I think we're entitled to a specific answer to that specific question.
Yep.
Because without that, it's gonna make our lives just that much harder. And, I mean, that's all part of, you know,
Well,
looking at
and-
alternatives as well.
And, you know, credit to Kim, she's been trying to work with Heidi for months. And it's
Carrie.
gotten more
I
and,
mean, Carrie,
Carrie,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
And it's gotten more and more adversarial that Carrie is very, this is my box, and I'm not letting anybody in my territory.
Right.
And so it makes Kim's job that much more difficult.
Well, there is an immediacy of timeliness necessary for payroll
Exactly.
on a regular basis, and, you know, we just cannot.
Yep.
We have a business to run here.
Yep.
Even though it's government.
Yeah, and there's also training issues. I mean,
Right.
we were supposed to get so many hours of training for so many of the modules we bought. Now, obviously, we didn't have an IT person or an accounting person like Heidi at the time, so I can't fault them for not coming in and training somebody who isn't here.
Right.
But they have done very little of the training end of it,
Yeah.
from what I can see. I mean, very few hours anyway. Also, some of the modules we don't, if they're in there, well, I don't know what kind of access we have to them.
No, well, we might not need them either, you know, it depends what, I don't know, so. I mean, I hope Christian got the impression that there are things that are going on this end that we are struggling with MRI with.
Sitting here, I got it loud and clear. I think
Okay.
you did.
I hope so. I really hope so.
So, I mean, we wait and see what he comes back with.
Yep,
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
send the letter about, about payroll,
yep.
so that we can have at least a view only. You know,
Yeah.
just to Kim,
Yes.
you know, and the granting of that should not be hard if they are planning on transitioning payroll to Kim anyway.
Right.
So they can't say to us, oh, well, it's a HIPAA violation. That's baloney.
Well, let's carry on with other things on our list here. Administration business items and reports. Anything in this neck of the woods?
Oh, everybody's being quiet. Nobody wants to speak up now.
No, tonight's meeting was primarily, I mean, we'd still be listening to the presentation from Chris Berg, except for
Right,
Right.
right,
the
Right.
fact
okay.
that it's postponed, so.
Well, it's probably just as well as another.
So we're shooting for March 1.
Mhm.
If that, check your calendars, because if that works, we'll declare that a meeting date in that. Although I think Chris cleared it with Louise, right?
Yes.
Louise?
So, superintendent, do you have anything to report?
Not much on this end. We did come to an agreement with Eversource on a temporary access permit to the wastewater treatment plant
Right,
for the electrical transmission line tower to be replaced. That work should start on February 22nd and run through the end of March.
So does that require any fencing that has to come down or anything like that?
Nope, just access through the fencing.
Okay.
Okay.
Their entire laydown area should be within their right of way.
Okay.
So we'll help them out maybe on a little bit of snow removal there. But we are also looking at some of our other sites, such as Foster Street and potentially Holderness Well site as well, where Eversource's transmission lines are crossing. We may need future agreements or easements with them, mutually for their access as well as our access. So we'll be looking into those, and also kicking off preliminary design on the well project. So we've been working with Wright Pierce on that. There will be an amendment coming up to the archaeological study. The phase 1 archaeological study concluded that there would be a need for additional archaeological investigation within the project area. So there is a second scope to that, which can't be completed until the snow melts in
right.
April or May. So that's something that is coming up, but we are moving forward with design. We've met with their Wright Pierce crew several times to discuss the project on both the Holderness side as well as the Foster Street side. And we are also continue to work with Ray Pierce on, we're at pre-90% design now on the Main Street project, both phase 1 and 2. And we're getting there as well with the force main. So things are moving along. We're in discussions with DOT on several things with them in regard to Main Street, and we'll be coming together again with the town shortly.
Okay,
Awesome. Good.
all good.
Yes.
Purchase recs.
Purchase recs, we're gonna need a motion to enter into record purchase recs previously approved by the board.
I will make a motion that we enter the purchase recs and POs that we received by email.
I would second that motion.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public comment.
Mary Ann, any comments?
No comments other than having Zoom is great for me. I just, it's trouble hearing sometimes. So I don't know if there's something we can do about that for next time, but that's my only comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
Well,
I make a
that's-
motion we adjourn.
Yes, 6:17.